What if I told you that you could save thousands of dollars on college just by starting a special kind of account most people have never even heard of? But here's the catch. Most families wait too long, make simple mistakes, and end up leaving money on the table. What is this secret strategy? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use a 529 plan to save big, avoid hidden pitfalls, and give your child, or yourself, a head start without drowning in student debt. Number 1. What is a 529 plan? Really? Let's clear the air first. A 529 plan is a savings account designed specifically to help you pay for education. Think of it as a magic piggy bank, but instead of coins and candy, it grows tax-free and stays safe from your impulse buys. You put money in, that money grows. And when you take it out to pay for qualified education expenses, you don't pay federal taxes on the earnings. It's like planting seeds and harvesting more than you ever planted, as long as you use it. For education, for example, if you save $200 a month starting when your child is born, you could end up with more than $70,000 by the time they turn 18, thanks to compounding growth and tax-free earnings. Even better, some states let you deduct your contributions from your state taxes too. Number 2, why is it called a 529? Here's a fun fact. The 529 name comes from Section 529 of the Internal Revenue Code, the same way your friend Dave got his nickname from that one weird summer camp story. It's just the rule in the tax code that created these plans back in 1996. So no, it's not a fancy investment club or a secret society. It's just the law's name for a plan that gives families a smarter way to save. Number 3, how much can you really save? Here's where it gets exciting. You can save thousands of dollars by avoiding taxes on your investment gains alone. Let's say you invest $30,000 over the years, and your account grows to $50,000. If you didn't use a 529 plan, you might owe taxes on those $20,000 of earnings, which could easily mean a bill of $3,000 or more. But with a 529, you keep that money. That's like getting a free semester of tuition at some schools, just because you planned ahead. And depending on your state, you could save even more through state tax benefits. For example, if you live in Indiana, you can get a state tax credit equal to 20% of your contributions, up to $1,000 each year. Number 4, who can open a 529 plan? You don't need to be a parent to open a 529. Anyone can open one. Parents, grandparents, even you for yourself. That's right. You can be both the owner and the beneficiary. So if you want to go back to school someday, you can start saving in a 529 now for your own education. It's also a great gift idea. Imagine giving your grandchild the gift of less debt and more opportunity. It's a lot better than another plastic toy. Number 5, what can you spend it on? Here's where people often get confused. But don't worry, it's pretty simple. You can use 529 money for tuition, fees, books, supplies, and even room and board if you're at least a half-time student. You can also use it for trade schools, community colleges, graduate programs, and even some international schools. And thanks to new rules, you can even use up to $10,000 per year for K through 12 tuition at private or religious schools. For example, if your daughter gets into a trade program for welding, you can use the 529 for her tuition and tools. It's not just for fancy 4-year universities anymore. Number 6. What happens if my child doesn't go to college? The big question everyone worries about. What if my child becomes a rock star and skips college? You won't lose all your money. You can change the beneficiary to another child, yourself, or even a niece or nephew. If no one ends up using it for education, you can still withdraw the money. But here's the catch. You'll pay income tax and a 10% penalty on the earnings, not the money you contributed. For example, if you put in $20,000 and it grew to $30,000, you'd only pay tax and penalty on that $10,000 of growth. Not ideal, but it's your money and you're still ahead. Number 7. Can you lose money? Here's the honest answer. Yes, like any investment, 529 plans can go up or down depending on the stock market, but most plans offer age-based portfolios that get more conservative as your child gets closer to college. For example, when your child is young, your money might be mostly in stocks for growth, but by the time they're 17, it'll shift to bonds and cash to reduce risk. You're in control. You Can even choose all safe options if you want to avoid risk entirely. Number 8. How much should you save? This one trips people up all the time. How much is enough? There's no magic number. It depends on your budget and your goals. Some families aim to cover half of college costs and let their child cover the rest through work or scholarships. Others aim to save 100%. A good rule of thumb is to save what you can comfortably. Even $50 a month adds up. For example, $50 a month over 18 years can grow to more than $20,000 in some scenarios. That could cover a big chunk of tuition. Number 9. Are there income limits? Great news here. There are no income limits to open or contribute to a 529. Even if you're a high earner, you can still take advantage of the tax benefits. And if you're on a tighter budget, you can still start small. The IRS doesn't care how much you make, just that you use it for education. Number 10. What about financial aid? Here's a common worry. Won't a 529 hurt my child's chances for financial aid? It does have a small impact, but not as much as you might think. If a parent owns the account, only about 5.6% of the value is counted toward the expected family contribution on FAFSA. So if you have $10,000 in a 529, it might reduce aid eligibility by only around $560. Compare that to having nothing saved and taking out high-interest loans, and you'll see why saving still makes sense. Number 11. How to open one today. Opening a 529 is easy. You don't need a financial advisor or a giant pile of paperwork. You can open one online in 15 minutes. Just choose your state's plan or compare plans from other states. Many allow out-of-state investors. You'll name a beneficiary, pick your investments, and start contributing. For example, you might open New York's plan even if you live in Ohio, if it has lower fees or better investment options. Most plans have minimums as low as $25 to get started. That's less than a night out, and automatic monthly contributions make it even easier. Number 12. A real-life example that might surprise you. Let me tell you about Chris and Kelly. When their son was born, they started saving just $100 a month into a 529. By the time he graduated high school, they had over $40,000 saved. Their neighbor, Tom, didn't start until his daughter was 15. He still saved, but only managed to save about $5,000 before she went to college. Both helped their kids, but Chris and Kelly saved thousands more and avoided student loans entirely, all because they started early. Number 13. Common mistakes to avoid. Before you rush off and open a plan, here are a few rookie mistakes to watch out for. First, don't assume your state's plan is the best just because you live there. Shop around. Second, don't invest too conservatively if your child is young. You need growth in the early years. And finally, don't forget to change your investment mix as your child gets closer to college. Neglecting these steps could cost you thousands. Number 14. How to compare state plans without overthinking it. Every state in the USA has at least one 529 plan. But here's the good news. You can invest in almost any state's plan, even if you don't live there. So, what should you look for? Start with your own state. Some states, like New York, Indiana, and Utah, offer tax deductions or credits if you use their plan. For example, in Utah, you can deduct up to about $4,000 for a married couple each year from your state income tax. That's money in your pocket. But if your state doesn't offer those benefits, or if another state's plan has lower fees or better investment options, you can pick another state's plan. Websites like savingforcollege.com let you compare plans side by side in minutes. Look for low fees, age-based investment options, and a good track record. Number 15. Should you use a prepaid tuition plan? Here's another twist most people don't know. Some states offer prepaid tuition plans instead of traditional investment-based 529s. What's the difference? With a prepaid plan, you're locking in today's tuition rates at state universities, protecting yourself from rising costs. For example, if tuition at your state school is $10,000 per year now, you can pay today's rate and your child uses that credit when they enroll. Even if tuition has doubled by then. Sounds great, right? But there's a catch. You can usually only use it at public schools in that state, and you won't get the same growth potential as an investment-based 529. So if your child ends up going to a private or out-of-state college, you may not get full value. That's why most families prefer the regular 529 savings plan. Number 16. Can you use a 529 for student loans? Here's something that surprises a lot of people. You can now use up to $10,000 from a 529 to pay off qualified student loans, either yours or your beneficiaries. That's right. Even if your child already graduated and has loans, your 529 can still help. It's not the main purpose of the plan, but it's a nice backup option if plans change. Number 17. What happens to extra money in the 529? Okay, you saved more than your child needed. What happens to the leftover money? You have a few smart options. You can save it for graduate school or future education. You can change the beneficiary to another child, grandchild, or even yourself. Or, here's a new one. Thanks to the Secure 2.0 Act, starting in 2024, you can roll over up to $35,000 from a 529 into a Roth IRA for the beneficiary, as long as the account has been open at least 15 years. That means your savings can still help your child's financial future, even if they didn't need it all for college. Number 18. Why starting early beats waiting? Let's drive this point home with one more example. If you start saving just $100 a month when your child is born and your investments earn an average of 6% a year, you could have around $40,000 by the time they turn 18. But if you wait until they're 10 years old to start, you'll only have about $12,000 by the time they graduate. That's the power of starting early. Even small amounts grow into something big if you give them time. So don't let fear or confusion stop you. You can always adjust later, but you can't get back the years you didn't save. Number 19. Can grandparents help too? Absolutely. Grandparents can open their own 529 plans, or they can contribute to a parent-owned plan. And here's something new. Starting with the 2024 to 2025 school year, distributions from grandparent-owned 529 plans no longer count against the student's financial aid eligibility on FAFSA. That's huge, because it means grandparents can now help without hurting aid chances. So if grandma and grandpa want to help, let them. Number 20. A few more creative ideas. Here are some creative ways families are using 529s. Some people open one for themselves to save for a career change later. Others save for a niece or nephew's future, giving them a huge head start. Some even use it to pay for continuing education courses or certain certifications. The bottom line, it's more flexible than you think, and it's not just for college kids. So, what's stopping you from taking this simple step that could save you thousands and set your family up for success? Would you rather wake up in 10 years wishing you'd started sooner, or celebrating how much you saved? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's the biggest question you still have about 529 plans?